We get big guests ready to go.
This is America's favorite outdoor talk program.
Oh, really? If these guests were fish, they would be lunkers.
Nature, children, is where it's at.
Hello there. I'm a bass, and I am petrified of Alex Langer's show.
Outdoors This Week.
Everybody can participate, no matter how old you are, what income you are, or for that matter, what sex you are.
Anchor yourself right here, because it's time for Outdoors This Week.
Outdoors This Week. Is it that time again?
It is.
Holy cow. I better get my stuff together. Listen, we have a great show today. Of course, I always say that, but this time I really mean it. We have a guy by the name of Travis Manson with us. And of course, he is the son of Charlie Manson, the brother of Marilyn Manson. I was just seeing if you were awake, Lynn. And
I am now.
You are awake and you're not gullible. So you've passed the test.
Yay.
But you people at home, look into your own hearts. If you believe me, then you didn't pass the test. And only you know the deep, dark secrets of your own heart. Is that correct, Lynn?
Yeah, that's true.
So what did you really think?
I was starting to believe it for a minute, I'll admit.
You passed the test technically, but in your heart...
In my heart,
you may have failed.
I may have failed myself.
All right.
Oh.
So there you go. And then we have all of our usual suspects. Let me list them for you. We have Ron Lindner, who is Lynn's Northern Gentleman, and he is not like the Southern Gentleman. And the Southern Gentlemen are, of course, none other than Larry Whiteley from Bass Pro. Also, Sammy Lee from The Sammy Lee Show, and good old what's-his-name, Wade Bourne. We like to call him good old what's-his-name because I don't know why. I think it fits.
Yeah, it really does.
Wade is here with hunting tips, and Sammy Lee is always there with pro bass anglers. And today he's got none other than Rick Clunn as his guest on the show. So stay tuned for that. And Larry Whiteley, I think that's it. So stay with us, folks. We got a great show coming up, and we have Travis Manson. He'll be the first guest you hear after Ron Lindner's report. So stay with us. It's going to be a great show.
Hang tight. More of America's outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after this.
Hi, folks. Ron Lindner here for Lindner's Angling Edge Television. Right now, you can probably see us on WFN. All right, what's happening? Well, this weekend, we had the big tournament on Lake Lanier. This is the FLW tournament. This is their super tournament. And it won't be announced until Sunday, the finals. On the other hand, one thing we do know about the lake is she is down. I mean, you've had this hot weather, and not only is Lake Lanier, where they're having a tournament, down many feet, changing the whole way that thing was fished, but that's neither here nor there. That's another story. It seems that thousands of fish die as Midwest streams are steam up. All over the place. They're losing about 40,000 shovel-nosed sturgeon were killed in Iowa last week as water temperatures hit 97 degrees, almost 100. Also, Nebraska fishermen say they've seen thousands of dead sturgeon, catfish, carp, and other species in the lower Platte. That's another shallow, warm river in our heartland. So many fish died in one Illinois lake that the carcasses clogged the intake screen near a power plant. This is a lake that's kept naturally warmer. It's a cooling lake, and you probably got temperatures that are off the charts. One guy over here with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources says it's something I've never seen in my entire career of 20 years, said Mark Flaminger. The fish are victims of one of the driest, warmest summers in our history, all over. I've never seen them, right? And I'm talking 45, 50 years I've been on travel. This is the warmest, hottest I have ever seen it. The federal U.S. drought monitor shows nearly 2/3 of the lower 48 states are experiencing some sort of drought. Naturally, it goes into the rivers and the reservoirs and the lakes that we fish. There's another, Gavin Gibbons, a spokesman for the National Fisheries Institute, says the sturgeon kill doesn't appear to have reduced the supply enough to hurt regional caviar suppliers. Ta-da for that. I'm not getting all excited about that. Anyway, there's another fellow, another biologist, he says we're talking hundreds of thousands of killed fish. He says maybe millions if you count the chubs and minnows and all the other stuff. It's millions if you look statewide. And Stephenson, Gary Stephenson said fish kills happen the most in small private ponds and streams, but the hot water this year has made the situation much worse. So we've seen it in Kansas. Kansas has really seen some declining water levels, like we had Texas. Well, and actually Lake Lanier, which is in Georgia, where they're having this tournament, the lake levels 2 years ago were really low, and they're low this year. They're not the dangerous low levels that they were, but many of these guys that used to fish docks, to go along, they can't fish the docks. The docks are on dry land. There's maybe 10 feet from the edge of the water before they even get up to the dock that's sticking out. That's part of the heat wave that we're experiencing. One large carp, now up here in the Dakotas, one large batch of carp at Lewis and Clark Lake in the Dakotas up here in South Dakota. This is one of my favorite smallmouth lakes, by the way. They had lesions. Now, fish get lesions when they start suffering a bacterial infection. That comes from extremely hot water. And anyway, by the by, I just hope that it's going to cool off. It's going to change things. Now, we haven't seen we're seeing some northern pike here. I'm seeing a lot of tulipy, which need cool water, but we're also starting to see some pike, which they could take some warm water, but the bigger pike, they need cold water. They're really a cool water fish, not a cold water fish, they're cool water fish. And after a while, when I start seeing pike floating up here, and I was fishing a tournament last weekend, and when we see pike floating out there, that's not a good sign. And I saw a couple of pike floating along with the tulipies. We have this normal summer kill that happens on a regular basis. But these are generally tulipi, which is a bait fish, which hang in that deep water. They just hang there. They don't want to leave that cool water, and when they lose the oxygen there, the fish die and they float up. But we're seeing pike, and that's a little different. Well, anyway, that's the report for now. We need a little cool weather, and next week, or maybe somebody else is going to give you a report on the FLW. That's the big tournament that they're having out on Lake Lanier, and somebody is going to be made a gigantic hero. His career is going to be made, as well as putting $500,000 or $600,000 in his pocket. That's always nice, especially if you're young. Young Scott Martin, the son of Roland Martin, the famous fisherman, and my buddy. He won last year. Early reports on the first day is he was doing well, and I'm not going to spill any beans here. Well, that's it for now. See you later, folks.
Hunting pronghorn coming up on Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Would you like to spend less time on the couch and more time in the fresh air? Would you like your kids to stare at a bobber instead of the TV? Would you gladly trade in your microwave for a Dutch oven? Then you belong at Bass Pro Shops. Every week, we offer free skills workshops to help you get started. See the store or go to BassPro.com for more information. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Hunting pronghorn antelope is an exciting challenge. During the hunting season, the grasses on the prairie are a light brown and the sage is a dark gray-green. The antelope coat blends in with these colors, making them difficult to spot on the open prairies. The hunter also has to decide if the white spot on the hillside or in the distance with the sun glinting off is a rock or the rump of an antelope. Good binoculars or a spotting scope are tools that are required. Because pronghorn live on the open prairies, their vision, sense of smell, and hearing are all excellent. Hunters need to keep this in mind as they stalk a group of pronghorn. If the pronghorn get any sense that danger is present, the group will be off like a shot. By the end of the first week of pronghorn season, the animals spook easily. However, remember that pronghorn do have a tendency to run for a short distance, then stop and look back to see if they're being pursued. Folks, the great outdoors. Pass it on. I'm Larry Whiteley, and this is Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World.
Look out, Larry. There's one of them pronghorns right behind you. Watch out.
Oh, no.
They butt and they kick. They'll stab you with those long pronghorns. We always have Larry on the show, and we always enjoy his insightful reports. Wouldn't you say that, Lynn?
They are insightful.
Listen, speaking of insight, we have a man with us who, let me give you his claim to fame. He's the only Elite Series angler to come from Wisconsin.
His hair is really cool. He has like really spiky hair.
Spiky? Does he color it?
I don't know, but it's really funky. It's very cool.
We'll have to ask him, and he's been actively involved in all kinds of fishing all his life, from walleye tournaments in Wisconsin to trout and salmon fishing on the Great Lakes, to bass tournament fishing throughout the country. From 1996 to 2006, Travis fished mainly walleye tournaments. In 2006, he was introduced to the Bassmaster Classic Elite Series as a co-angler and through Mercury Marine. It was then that he ultimately decided to switch from walleye to bass fishing. Travis is energetic, humorous, outgoing, and friendly. Sounds like a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Travis, are you a Boy Scout?
I was, I guess, maybe a Cub Scout.
Tell me about yourself. What made you decide to switch from walleye to bass?
I really made the decision, all through my life, I fished for bass, but I didn't focus a lot on it. In fact, I might have thrown a spinnerbait at a lily pad, caught a fish or two here and there, and that's basically to the extent of that. Really, when I went down to fish as a co-angler in the first ever Elite Series on Lake Amistad, that's when I really saw the power of bass fishing and what it was all about. I just thought, bass fishing was all about, shiny, sparkly boats, and they would try to hit your planer boards when you're trying to catch walleyes. So I, even really thought about bass fishing until that point where I saw how amazing it was, and I got to fish with a lot of the guys that are on the Elites today,
right.
And a lot of them kind of shaped me to where I am today, and is just teaching me how to pursue it. And I just got so interested in it that when I got back that summer, I pretty much sold all my walleye gear, all my equipment, and focused 100% on bass fishing from there on out.
In other words, you fell in with the wrong crowd, like all those of us who pursued bass fishing as a career, right?
Right, exactly.
How well did you do in walleye fishing?
Well, I did. Gosh, I fished so many tournaments, a lot of local tournaments, and I had a great partner growing up. Actually, my father, as well as a childhood friend, Brian Keller, we fished a lot of walleye tournaments growing up, and we had some great success at it, but it just wasn't, I felt that the walleye side really wasn't going to take me to where I wanted to go. And so to be able to see just how many fans and how many people are involved in bass fishing across the country, because really walleye fishing is so centralized. It's really based out of Wisconsin for the most part, Michigan, Minnesota, the upper Midwest. And, to find a sport, to deal with bass fishing and have something that's so widely popular across the country was really what I was looking for. And I just don't ever see walleye fishing getting to that point.
Is walleye fishing more difficult than bass fishing?
I would have to say no. There's a lot more techniques involved in bass fishing. That's one of the things that drew me to it is you can be doing so many different things. You can fish your strength. And walleye fishing, there's a lot of options out there as well, but it's not as vast. So I believe that bass fishing is much harder.
How was your season this year on the Elite Series?
Well, gosh, it really was an amazing experience so far. I mean, I'm going to my third year on the Elites.
Take a couple of minutes to think about it because we got to take a break right now. We'll come back right after this, all right? Folks, stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
Out on the water, it's the same deal. Which boat, four-stroke, rod or reel. Freshwater diehards, a saltwater crew. But I tell you where I'll be if I have to choose. Oh, it's a disputable thing, but bass is king.
Wow! Woo! Hold on to that, and that's a good one since 1984. Tight Lines with Sammy Lee.
Does having a good mental attitude while fishing guarantee success? No, but a bad mental attitude can certainly spell doom, according to my guest today. Hello, this is Sammy Lee. In just a moment, 4-time Bassmaster Classic winner Rick Clunn will tell you what I mean. But first, this message.
When you're trying to get a trophy in your sights, you need HuntMate Pro, the iPhone app for hunters of all kinds. HuntMate Pro shows you the best hunting times each day, moon phase and sunrise data, plus color weather radar and extended forecasts, including wind speed and barometric pressure. You'll also get hunting tips and recipes at the touch of a finger. Take an iPhone picture of your trophy, and HuntMate Pro puts it on the trophies page and logs the exact spot you made it. Hunters on the go need HuntMate Pro. Buy yours online at the iTunes Store or at huntmateapp.com.
While talking with the man that was voted as the greatest bass angler of all time, Rick Clunn, I asked Rick if an angler's mental attitude has anything to do with their ability to catch fish. And Rick gave me the following example of what happens when a cold front passes through as to what normally happens to an angler's mental outlook.
A cold front is a low strike situation. And unfortunately, it appeared just like this front that came through here, usually before a front is prime fishing. So a guy gets into what I call a 30 strike attitude before the front. And then he can't make the adjustment to a 5 strike attitude until it's too late after the front. And so first you got to make that. The night before it happens, you got to say, look, I know that it's not going to be as good as it was the day before. I can't expect 30 strikes. I got to go out there and get 5 strikes, and I got to concentrate on every cast. This may be one of those 5, because if I miss it, then I only got 4 left. So it's a mental... If you go out there thinking you're going to get 30 strikes, if you do, then fine, it's a bonus. But if you go out there and you don't get a strike that first 3 hours, and boy, mentally you're defeated. You start to panic, you start to run, you start to do a lot of the wrong things. Where if you go out there with a 5-fish attitude, okay, and then you don't get a strike the first 2 hours, you still know, man, I only got to get 5 hits. That's all I'm looking for.
Well said, Rick Clunn. And that may explain why I've had such disaster in some of the tournaments I've fished over the years, because I always seem to be looking for those 5 hits every hour. Rick Clunn will continue telling us how a good mental attitude can help us catch more fish every time we go fishing next time. So I hope you'll be sure to join us. I'm Sammy Lee, and until next time, tight lines.
Tight Lines, brought to you by SpectraBurst, the ultimate color-changing technology. HuntMate, the best hunting app for your iPhone. By UFP, America's leading maker of brake systems for boat trailers. And by Bleeding Belly's Lures, the bait that actually changes color.
Follow Tight Lines on Twitter at www.twitter.com/TightLinesRadio.
Thank you, Sammy Lee. And my guest this hour is Travis Manson. Travis has been actively involved in fishing his whole life, and he was a walleye tournament fisherman in Wisconsin and also fished for salmon and trout in the Great Lakes. And then he took a wrong turn and he discovered bass, and now here he is on our show. So, Travis, first of all, welcome back. And is it true that your middle name is really Speed?
Yeah, that's correct. You know, growing up in elementary and middle school, you know, it was kind of tough.
Yeah.
Having the middle name is Speed, you know, I always get picked on. But now it's kind of cool, so I'm actually, it's definitely unique, I'll say that.
Is that like a boy named Sue?
The real truth behind it is, I believe it's named after some important governor in my family from many, many years ago. So
you have governors in your family?
I guess, apparently.
Governor Speed. We're going to call you the governor.
There you go.
Governor Manson. Are you related to Marilyn Manson?
No. But I've been asked a lot. But my uncle, I guess he's in jail over in California right now. So
would that be Charlie?
That could be. No relation to both of them.
All right. I'm sorry. I had to get those out of my system.
Sure, absolutely.
How was your season on the Elite Series?
Well, I tell you what, I had, going into it, my second year was this year. It was extremely exciting because I kind of had, I guess what I would say, the freshmen, the jitters and things like that were gone. You know, I knew what to expect going into this season. And I had some really great events. As far as improving, I think I give myself an A for that. I ended up 66 in overall points, which obviously isn't where I wanted to be, but it's definitely improvement. And so I feel like I'm making progress every year on the Elite.
If I can chime in, that's amazing. 66 is terrific, and it's only your second year. You got nowhere to go but up.
Right. No, I look forward. I mean, if I can jump another 20 points, next year, hey, I'm all for that.
Yeah. what was your favorite lake to fish on the Elite and why?
This year?
Yes.
I would say, gosh, I'd have to say my favorite was probably the Green Bay event we had right in my home state of Lake Michigan.
How did you do there? People that are local usually don't do too well.
The difference is, especially in fisheries here in the northern part of the country, is it's more spot and area related than pattern.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, you can travel all over the country and, the southern impoundments, things like that, and there's a lot of patterns and things that develop, and pretty much anyone can get on those. Well, up here in the north, I see it time and time again on my home body of water and the lakes that I fish. You have to know the areas and the spots that the fish are, and they're always there year in, year out. It does not matter. And so I felt really good going into the Green Bay event, although we did have some issues with the boundaries and, where the DNR was going to let us fish.
Right.
And so that kind of that upset me a little bit as far as the fact that we wouldn't be able to go and actually showcase just how great the fishery is, because 25 pounds a day is not out of the question for smallmouth bass on Lake Michigan. Unfortunately, we weren't able to reach those areas where those larger fish live, so the weights were a little bit lower than what I was hoping for the event.
Were those your areas?
Those areas that the areas that I feel the most confident in, and know that I can go out there and get a 25-pound plus bag pretty much any day of the year, is definitely out of bounds, and it was not in play for this last tournament.
Darn. How'd you do in the tournament?
I ended up, I believe, 24th, so not too bad. Had some opportunities. I really just missed the top 12 by one fish. In fact, I only brought in 4 fish on Saturday, so that definitely hurt my chances. But I feel good. I actually struggled a little bit in practice and was not able to get on anything, real, what I thought would be the winning fish. So I'm very proud of what I was able to come out with for that one.
Have you ever talked to Rick Clunn?
Absolutely. What
do you think of his mental attitude and things that he preaches?
I think that he is probably, as far as an angler, that he is someone that everyone on tour or anyone who fishes needs to really, I guess, try to hear his message and understand. He's got a different mindset of how everything works as far as fishing in general. And I think he's an amazing, a very interesting person. I try to follow a lot of the advice that he gives.
Is he one of your heroes, or do you have other heroes?
I guess I wouldn't say heroes, but he's someone that I definitely respect as an angler. There's a lot of guys on tour that I respect as an angler. Growing up, you hear their names and you see them on TV and magazines, and so it's definitely it's amazing to be able to compete against those guys.
That's terrific. And who are the other people you respect on the tour besides Clunn?
There's a lot of guys. I would say for the most part, 95% of the guys are amazing. I've talked to pretty much all of them. And so, I became good friends with a lot of guys on tour. There's a lot of guys that I'm real close with. There's a lot of guys that help me. The Lane brothers are when I think about, who are the real cool guys I love to hang around with, man. Every time you get around Chris or Bobby Lane, it's a fun time.
Those guys are fun. And for people who are listening who don't know, Chris Lane won the Bassmaster Classic this year, so we were there with the show at the Classic, and we didn't talk to Chris, but we talked to everybody else. So we're up against a break right now, so when we come back, I'm going to ask you about your guide service in Wisconsin, all right?
Awesome.
All right, stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after this.
I'm hooked on hooking up, and there ain't no cure.
More of America's favorite outdoor talk program, Outdoors This Week, after these messages.
At the end of my load, the bigger the better. Break out the headline.
Mistakes. Learn to eliminate them. You'll be better at whatever endeavor you're undertaking. Recently, I talked to expert bow hunter Gerald Swindle about mistakes that he sees other archery hunters make, and he listed several. I'm Wade Bourne, and this is Wired to Hunt Radio. In a minute, avoid the mistakes that Gerald talks about in today's show, and you'll be a lot more successful in the early deer season. More Wired to Hunt radio coming up. Never been a fan of gun rest because you don't want to lug a stick around with you? Then you need to see this. Compact gun rest that's no bigger than your hand. Keep one in your pocket until needed. Then hook your little Sure Shot gun rest around a tree limb or whatever's handy. With this item, my range has increased 25% and my accuracy even more. Go to WadeBourneOutdoors.com or Google Little Sure Shot gun rest to see the amazing video. That's WadeBourneOutdoors.com. Let me know what you think. Cabela's is the world's foremost outfitter for hunting, fishing, camping, and outdoor gear. They offer more gear than anybody, best selection, prices, and quality, all backed by Cabela's legendary guarantee. Shopping with Cabela's has never been easier or more convenient. You can outfit all your needs through Cabela's catalogs, website, and their many stores. Check them out at Cabela's.com. Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter. This is Wired to Hunt Radio. Gerald Swindle is a pro bass angler, but his first outdoor love is bow hunting for deer. In fact, Gerald hosts The Hit List, a TV show about archery hunting on the Outdoor Channel. Recently, I asked Gerald about mistakes that he sees other bow hunters make, and he named several.
I think some of those things I see very common sometimes people try to hunt too close to a trail or a food source. For instance, if it was Kentucky and you could feed for deer and you could bait, I see guys that hunt 10 yards from the bait fire or their food source, and there's no need with the fast bows we have nowadays, the new eras, the broadheads, the ability to fly better than we ever have with a bow. There's no need to have a 10-yard shot. A 35-yard shot is very safe, and that extra 15 yards is a big cushion of forgiveness. So I see that a lot. People want to hunt too close to the trail. People hunt an area too much. They get a big buck and they get him on camera and they get obsessed with it and they get impatient and they hunt marginal wins and they end up boogering him up. And then what you really see more and more now is people, they seem to want to hunt just a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the evening. You see very few guys willing to hunt the middle of the day or what we call a grind, sit it out, and you try to tell people patience for bow hunting is the key. And they say, well, we're not seeing any deer. I said, you only need to see one. You only need to see one.
That's Gerald Swindle, the Hit List man, with some good advice for you bow hunters. And that's also today's Wired to Hunt Radio. I'm Wade Bourne saying thanks for listening and get outside.
Thank you, Wade, for that terrific report. And we have with us a man by the name of Travis Manson. He is not related to either Charlie or Marilyn. I think I want to get that out of the way up front. His actual nickname is Speed Manson. How about that? He's an Elite Series angler on BASS, and this is his second full year, and he's 33 years old, and he used to be a walleye fisherman and a salmon fisherman, but now when he's not on the Elite Series tour, he's running a guide service in Wisconsin. First of all, Travis, thank you for coming back. When you're not competing, tell me about the guide service that you have up there in Wisconsin.
Sure, I do a little bit of guiding as well. We got some awesome lakes up here in Wisconsin, a lot of inland lakes that have some huge bass, both largemouth and smallmouth in there. So I do guide trips. I do keep busy that way. I'm always fishing a lot of local tournaments here in the state as well. And it's a blast. I always love coming back. And, that's one thing I miss the most, probably being on the trail now, is not being able to fish as many of the local tournaments, my buddies, and just going out there having fun with everyone.
Wisconsin reminds me a lot of the Northeast where I'm from. Wisconsin and actually most of Minnesota reminds me of New England. The average lake is so darn good that I'm not sure that I could satisfy myself with just fishing the Elite Series. Not that I'm that good.
It's definitely amazing being able to see all the different types of, going all over the country. I love those lakes. I love Florida fishing, Lake Okeechobee. I love Lake Champlain. I love, lakes down in Texas. But, really, we have it. We're not going to get 8-pounders up here, but you're going to get a lot of good fish. It takes 20-plus pounds for most events in order to win any time of the year here in Wisconsin. So it's definitely an amazing fishery here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the average fish in a tournament in Wisconsin considerably bigger than on the national tours?
It appears that way. And mainly because it all depends on the lakes, too. Because we have lakes that just have largemouth in them. We have lakes that have both. And we have lakes that are really just known for smallmouth. And so on some of these smallmouth lakes, there's a couple lakes in northern Wisconsin where you're going to need a 5-pound average to win every time we go there, every time there's a tournament there. So, I mean, those are some big fish. A lot of good 3 to 4 pound fish are found here in Wisconsin. It's just the fact that, you're not going to hook into an 8 or 9 pounder. But man, I'll take a bunch of 5s any day.
You're right. That's what I mean about the average bag. Even in the lowly state of Massachusetts, I would take Massachusetts on any given day before I'd take Texas or Florida, because I fished all of them, and the bass in Texas and Florida just aren't as big. You might get a bigger one. You have a chance of getting a 12-pounder, but I'll take the 5s through the 9s that we can catch in Massachusetts.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, just being on the Elite the last 2 years, I really found, and if you look on past tournament history, a 15-pound average a day normally is going to get you paid in every event that we go to, wherever it is.
Really? If you just catch 15 pounds of fish every day, you're fine.
Really, that's what it seems like. If you can consistently do that, and that's really, the guys that can continue this, and obviously, you got to be able to cash checks to do that. And so, if you look at the past history on tour, most of the stops we go to. Now, I'm not saying when we go to Falcon Lake next year, that 15 pounds, that probably isn't going to get you paid. But
that's
for
right.
the most part, the lakes that we do fish, 15 pounds is the goal.
100 pounds is more like it on
right,
Falcon
right.
Lake.
Yep.
So you got to find out who Governor Speed Manson was. Would you do that for me?
I can. I think I definitely can try. I'll try. I know it's from probably the early 1800s somewhere. So
your family's been in Wisconsin since the 1800s.
It could be, yeah. Yep.
Find out for us who Speed Manson was. We got about 2 minutes left. So how do people find out more about you and your guide service?
Sure. Well, they can contact me. Right now the best way is probably on Facebook. If you guys can look me up. Right now I think I'm at the limit of friends on my personal page, so I did start a fan page as well. And so everyone can I'm trying to get everyone converted over to that. That way I can give updates to everybody, let them know where I'm at, and they can follow me on tour as well as see if they want to go out fishing with me for a day or two.
When you're not out fishing, what do you like to do?
Fishing. Playing with tackle. I'm either talking fishing, working on tackle, organizing tackle, or planning for another trip. Really that's it. I mean, that's my life. Definitely. It's all about fishing.
That was a trick question, but you gave the right answer. So you passed the test.
Right.
Should I call you Speed or Travis?
Either or, man. I've been called worse, but they call me Hairdo, they call me Speed, T-Speed. It all works. So.
All right, Speed. Thank you for joining us today, and say hello to your brothers for me. All right?
Will do.
Okay. Thanks for being with us on Outdoors This Week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Alex Langer, Outdoors This Week.